Hello and welcome to Norwood News. Today is Friday, December 14th, and I'm your host, Krista McDonald. On Wednesday morning, Norwood town officials traveled to Boston to have a meeting with the Massachusetts School Building Authority. During this meeting, the Norwood officials were given some very good news. For more on this, we go to Norwood Public Schools Superintendent, Dr. Dave Thompson.
We have put in a statement of interest for a new Coakley Middle School. As many people know, that building is old and very tired and does not meet the programmatic needs of our middle schoolers. Today was a very exciting opportunity. We traveled to Boston to the Massachusetts School Building Authority. There we went to the Board of Directors and were voted into the first stage of the building funding process. It's called the eligibility phase, which is where we go through a process over the next 270 days to show that the Norwood Public Schools in the town of Norwood are ready and able to fulfill a facilities project. The next steps we'll be working closely. We have an advisor at MSBA who will be working with us to complete everything from designing and putting together a building committee, looking at funding or achieving funding for a feasibility study. We've done a facility study a couple of years ago. That was a huge help in getting this project launched. Also the support of the selectmen, the finance committee, obviously the school committee, and the work of our buildings and ground staff, especially Mr. Riccardi, who did a lot of work on this statement of interest.
Thanks, Dr. Thompson, and we look forward to following the process for a new Coakley Middle School. Friday afternoon, the Friends of St. Nick hosted their annual charity luncheon, which raises money for Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. Each year, the Friends of St. Nick pick one deserving person or group to be the honoree of the year. This year, Galooly's Funeral Home was selected for all that they do with local charities around town. Funeral Home Director Frederick Wolbrock was honored by the recognition.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You're all going to have to bear with me here. My public speaking skills are not that great. It's pretty much an Our Father, a Hail Mary, and reminder to use your headlights on the way to church. And I have to admit, this is probably the first St. Nick speech to be given in a New York accent. So if anybody's having any trouble, GSU, can you come on up? First off, we at Galooly's would like to thank the Friends of St. Nick Committee for this amazing honor. When Megan Griffin called me that night, I was completely speechless. The next morning, when I told the rest of the staff, they were completely speechless as well. And with that silence from my staff, the committee was able to accomplish something I've been trying to do for years. But seriously, we are truly honored to be standing here before you as the 2018 Friends of St. Nick honorees. I stand here today representing a group of people that love this town and deeply care for their friends and neighbors, especially when those friends are experiencing rough times. We are the staff of Galooly's. I also stand here representing another group of people who came before us, but whose name and reputation for caring has been carried on after them for decades. The original Galooly family and later the Crowley family. Not many businesses are referred to as a home, but ours is. We do use the word home. We are Galooly Funeral Home. John Galooly started this business in 1892 by opening his home to his friends and his neighbors in need. 126 years later, we are doing the same. We are opening our home and our hearts to the people of this town. When someone enters our home with tears in their eyes, they instantly become part of our Galooly family, and we are honored that we can be a part of theirs. As you know, a family is there to always support each other, and our Galooly family will always be here to support the people of Norwood. We are fortunate through our parent company, Dignity Memorial, to be able to give of our time and resources to so many deserving causes and efforts throughout this town. And since its start in 1992, the Friends of St. Nick have allowed us to help them in their efforts in town as well. With the Friends of St. Nick, membership requirements aren't very strict. Basically, to become a member, you have to take a Friday afternoon off, meet up with a bunch of your friends for lunch and a few drinks, share a bunch of laughs and a few hugs, and you're in. I think we've all handled those club requirements pretty well here today. But deep down, being a part of this group is a serious business. It's why we're here today. Every one of us has been affected by cancer, and every one of us here is playing a very important role in this fight against this horrible disease. Through the Friends of St. Nick and our continued support of the world-renowned Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, we hope they'll one day find a cure. We keep that cause in our prayers every day. Before I wind this up, one very last important thing. As you know, the party continues in Appertandies after we leave here. My parents, being from New York, are not sure how to get there, so I volunteered to show them the way. I'm a good son, all right. I hope to see you all there and continue this day of friendship and have a few more. So in that spirit, raise a glass. To the Friends of St. Nick, to our friends here with us today, to our friends who couldn't be here with us today, to the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, and to the jewel of the Commonwealth, the great town of Norwood. We love you all, and we are humbled and grateful to be able to accept this tremendous honor. Thank you all.
Congrats to Galuli's Funeral Home for being selected as this year's honoree. Very well deserved. Stay tuned after this break to find out what Santa is up to this time of year and for this week's Living Local. And I'm your host, Krista McDonald.
Thanks for joining me for another update.
It was a hard-fought battle at Murrayfield.
Everybody you know and you like and you pal around with and you hang out with is here.
Your home. Your home.
Your home. Your home.
Your home for all things Norwood.
Welcome back. Thursday night, Norwood Community Media premiered their annual live Chat with Santa show. Santa Claus himself took time out of his very busy schedule to come to Norwood and chat with all the good kids of Norwood. With help from his trusted elf, Erin, Santa was able to take calls and find out what all the kids of Norwood wanted for Christmas. This year, one lucky guest was able to Skype in to talk to Santa.
Toys out there, Santa.
I'm gonna make you chocolate chip pancakes.
With that, I think I heard some pancakes.
Oh, I like that. I
I'll
like
always take
pancakes.
pancakes.
Pancakes and cookies.
What was that? Want to say that one more time, Adriana?
Can you sit still? Sit still. Chocolate chip cookies.
Oh.
I think Santa wants
My
some
favorites.
of those too.
Say hi.
Adriana, what do you think Miss Amelia wants for Christmas?
What do you think she wants?
Does she want chocolate chip cookies too?
Santa? Okay.
Okay.
Santa?
Does she want chocolate chip cookies too?
All right. Tell Santa Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Happy New
Tell
Year.
Tell him what you want. Quick. He has to go. He has other kids.
I want a Bobby airplane and Calico Critters, my own Alexa, and Bye Baby.
Wow.
Wow. All right, Adriana.
All
Well,
right.
you've been a great girl this year, so definitely look under your tree. Keep an eye on that.
Okay.
Say Merry Christmas.
Save a chocolate chip cookie for
Blow him a
me.
kiss.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Adriana. Merry Christmas, Amelia.
Thanks, Santa, for taking time out of your very busy schedule to talk to our kids of Norwood. Now let's take a look at this week's Living Local.
Hi, I'm Denise Driscoll. I'm an artist. I primarily paint, mostly abstract paintings. I like to work with repeating shapes, squares, circles, dots, and build up accumulations of them.
Denise Driscoll did not start out as a professional artist. She began as a graphic designer, but when it came time to choose one profession, she followed her passion.
I was a graphic designer for 20 years, and the whole time I was working as a graphic designer, which I loved, I kept thinking, I really just want to stop one day and paint. And it took me 20 years to take that step, but once I started painting, I couldn't do both.
Denise has found stability and consistency at the Norwood Space Center after being forced to leave her previous space.
So I ended up at the Space Center. Well, I painted for a while on my own, and then I went to graduate school at Lesley University and got my MFA in visual arts there 10 years ago. So I ended up at the Space Center because I was in a studio in Framingham, and unfortunately the studio spaces the building was sold to be redeveloped into condos. And I wanted to find a place that wasn't going to be sold in a year or two. A lot of buildings that artists work in are ripe for redevelopment, and found this place, and because it's being developed now, I knew it was stable and would be a good place to settle in.
Denise feels right at home in the Norwood community.
I really like it. I'm learning Norwood from here out, and we've had a few open studio events and other events where there were lots of people here, and very welcoming crowd. A lot of people from Boston were coming as well as people from Norwood.
Denise expresses her feelings through her paintings rather than using any specific techniques.
I think a lot about how everything is connected to everything else, so it's a very broad theme, but because of that, I listen to a lot of books while I paint. I listen to audiobooks. I read a lot, and I read a lot about, I'm interested in psychology and in inner states and emotional states, and so I find that those come out in the painting as I work.
Be sure to follow Denise Driscoll on Facebook and Instagram, and also visit her website at www.denisedriscoll.com.
Stay tuned after this break to find out what is happening in your local government.
Did you know that the unemployment rate for people with disabilities is 9.2%? That's more than twice the 4.2% unemployment rate for people without disabilities. But we are also more than facts and figures. What do these numbers mean in real life? The average American will live 28,835 days. Imagine how many times a door can be slammed in your face over the course of 3,202 days. And imagine how resilient a candidate must be who keeps knocking. There is an untapped market of workers out there. People with abilities, ambition, self-motivation, and a desire to contribute that are ready and able to work. You just need to know where to look to find them. LifeWorks is a local nonprofit that provides job training and job placement for adults with disabilities. For nearly 30 years, it has offered free recruiting for small, medium, and large companies by connecting businesses to qualified candidates in the Greater Boston and South Shore communities. LifeWorks has significant experience placing individuals and outsourced crews into a variety of industries that include retail, contract packaging, warehouse, residential and commercial cleaning, manufacturing, product refurbishing, and food handling and packaging and distribution. LifeWorks offers many creative and flexible staffing solutions that help companies find a greater number of qualified candidates, lower the cost of recruitment, and achieve corporate diversity goals. In fact, overall LifeWorks employee retention exceeds 92% in the marketplace. But don't listen to us. Listen to what some of our clients have to say. If you are interested in learning more about LifeWorks employment solutions, please call 781-762-4001 or text LifeWorker to 508-404-7902.
You want to find out what's happening in Norwood this week? Tune in to Norwood News on Norwood Community Media, your home for all things Norwood.
Welcome back to Norwood News. On Monday, the Budget Balancing Committee gathered in Room 24 of Town Hall to continue the discussions presented at the open forum on November 29th. Along the topic of override options, the committee discussed the possibility of pushing the recommendation further to have more concrete evidence on the impact of the budget.
Then we get a budget that we're going to have to live with anyhow if an override doesn't pass, and it's going to show, in my words, the pain, and it'll be clear to the public what that is, and then the contingent gets us what we need or what we're recommending that we need, and town meeting's already appropriated it as a contingent budget, and then we go to the voters at a special election with the number that's already very well vetted, if you will, through town meeting and everything else. Everyone, you want to get information out, you want to see, is you're going to do without 10 teachers, you're going to do without 4 firefighters. It's going to be as clear as you can make it if we've gone through that process.
The next budget balancing meeting will be Monday, December 17th. There were 3 meetings held at the Town Hall on Tuesday night. The first meeting of the night was the Board of Selectmen. During the meeting, Tony Mizuko gave his manager's report, and a public hearing was held for Bertucci's Restaurant for a request of a license transfer. Ernie Bach Jr. also attended the meeting and presented a check to the Board of Selectmen in the amount of $13,750 to the Norwood Fine Arts Department.
We did well, displayed them on the town, you were very gracious. We put them where we thought would be great, we had a really good night, and we have a check. So this is the actual check, which we'll leave right here.
Okay.
But for the Norwood Fine Arts Department, Music Drives This would like to give you $13,000.
Very good. Wonderful. Everybody get a picture of that now. Make sure you get a picture. That's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you to Mr. Bach and the Music Drives Us Foundation for all of your hard work. The next Board of Selectmen meeting will be Tuesday, December 18th. The second meeting of the night was the Trails Subcommittee, who met in room 24 of Town Hall. Many topics were covered during the 2-hour meeting. The committee discussed some upcoming projects that were in the works for the beginning of next year. One of these projects would be a town-wide trails study.
An application to approve a town-wide trails study. We had looked at a couple of estimates from that other towns had gone through. We're not quite sure to, the scope of that study that we want to undertake. But basically it would be, we've done I think we've all kind of contributed to a good inventory of either existing or, future trails. And I think what this trail study would do is not only evaluate the current trails, but also would give us a good set of priorities and how to move, some guidance on how to move forward if we were, to work on other projects. So.
The next meeting for the Trails Subcommittee will be January 18th. The last meeting of Tuesday night was the Library Board of Trustees meeting. The meeting opened with an approval of minutes from their previous meeting and a financial report of the current FY19 budget status. After the director's report, the board gave an update on the capital projects.
So the town came to me between board meetings and asked for capital projects for the next 3 years. And Jim and I sat down and thought about what needed to be done. And one of the things that's going to need to be done probably around 2022 would be repainting the entire library, because that would be 20 years since it was done. So we put that on 1 year. And then I put on an RFID project, which would be a capital project, which would be tagging all of our items with RFID tags, because more and more libraries within Minuteman are tagging with RFID.
To watch complete government coverage, tune into the NCM Government Channel or watch it on demand at norwoodcommunitymedia.org. Stay tuned after this break to find out what is happening in your schools.
If you want to meet the people to make the town tick, watch Your Town at Work with Jerry Slater, right here on Norwood Community Media, your home for all things Norwood.
The Town of Norwood and our mental health coalition, Minds Matter, are excited to introduce a new program for Norwood residents, the Interface Mental Health Referral Helpline. 1 in 5 adults suffer from mental health illness, and 60% of adults and 50% of children have gone untreated within the past year, according to the National Alliance of Mental Health Illness. The helpline is open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and matches are made based on availability, specialty, insurance needs, and location. We hope that this program will increase access to mental health in our community.
Older adults and their caregivers will be able to make a phone call to a mental health and wellness referral helpline to get the services they need in place. By providing this easy access to mental health services, it will significantly improve an older adult's ability to connect with the appropriate mental health services in our community.
Hi, I'm Chief Bill Brooks of the Norwood Police Department. You may have heard recently about a program overseen by the Walpole and Norwood Health Departments called Minds Matter. And the central feature of Minds Matter is a helpline that's available to residents of Norwood and Walpole who want counseling or have some issues around mental illness. The helpline is called Interface, and it's administered by William James College. You can call that toll-free number Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and seek help for mental health issues. I want to point out here, it's not a crisis line. If you're in the middle of a crisis or somebody in your family is, this is a program that's really for longer term assistance. It's only available Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, as I said. So, hey, even if you do, I want to talk to somebody about whether or not you can avail yourselves of services, pick up the phone and call Interface. We're going to run the number across your screen. Just call that toll-free number and help will be available to you.
In our schools, we are seeing a heightened demand for social-emotional school counseling, as well as an increase of students who require mental health support beyond the school setting. Often, barriers exist for families, preventing access, including insurance concerns and provider availability. We are thrilled to be collaborating with Interface. This extensive database will allow us to connect our students to the care they need. As our schools continue our partnership with the Minds Matter Coalition here in Norwood, not only will we be able to provide families access to care, but our schools are committed to providing community education and working towards reducing the stigma that surrounds emotional well-being and mental health. Supported students and families lead to safe and thriving schools and strong and healthy communities. This is a much-needed resource.
I want to thank our grant funders, Chenal 7 and Chenal 20, as well as Norwood Hospital for supporting this program. The referral helpline will help improve access to mental health within the town of Norwood. Welcome back. Now let's toss it over to our friend Tim Rose to find out what is happening around the Norwood School District.
Hi guys, let's take a look at some activities happening around our Norwood school community. Run, run, run as fast as you can't catch me, I'm the Gingerbread Man, can be heard throughout the hallways of the Little Mustangs preschool this week. Children have read a variety of gingerbread books from the classic Gingerbread Man to the Gingerbread Girl, Gingerbread Cowboy, Gingerbread Baby, and even Gingerbread Pirate. Students have been noticing the similarities and the differences between each book, and they have all learned to watch out for sly, hungry foxes. Classes have created structures with candy construction pieces and created their own gingerbread houses with boxes, shapes, and puff paint. Their makerspace is filled with gingerbread-themed activities as well. Miss Cece and her family created a full-size gingerbread house for students to decorate and explore. There's also gingerbread Play-Doh and gingerbread cutouts for the children to decorate with collage materials. The students put on their engineer hats to design and build a bridge to enable the Gingerbread Man to cross the river. Students had a blast exploring more about the Gingerbread Man and look forward to wrapping it up at the end of this week with a gingerbread craft party with their families at school. As we reported last week, students at the Balch School in Miss Davis's 4th grade class have been working cooperatively in groups researching extreme weather. They recently made presentations to each other to teach what they have learned. Let's take a look.
The system rotates faster and faster to be able to make the eye of the hurricane and that storm would be done for me. Good job! Bravo!
Curl up into a ball by a wall to protect your head. Cover yourself with a mattress or something soft.
1891 in Minority, Japan, where 7,000 people died.
Well, there was a tornado outbreak.
The waters can get as
Across North Carolina,
the F scale, 150. The F scale, 136, 100. 55. That is a scientific explanation of how tornadoes are measured.
Also at the Balch, Mrs. Lockwood and the planetarium visited the 3rd and 5th grades. Students observed the nighttime sky while Mrs. Lockwood explained the constellations and their connections to Greek mythology. Thank you to Mrs. Lockwood and the Science Center for an amazing experience. And the 1st and 5th grade worked together last week during the Hour of Code. They worked together to get characters through mazes and help the angry bird catch the pig. It's nice to see the different grades working with each other. The Prescott community celebrated Hour of Code last week, and under the guidance of Mrs. Miller and Mrs. Bishop, students worked collaboratively to code Spyros, Ozobots, and Bebots. Students utilized online resources like code.org to join in on the fun. This was a great opportunity for students to work across grade levels and share in each other's learning. Prescott thanks Superintendent Thompson, Assistant Superintendent Wyeth, and Technology Director Joe Kidd for coming by to participate in the fun. The Callahan School learned all about fire safety with firefighter Paul Ronco. It's important that students learn fire safety at a young age and talk about it at home. After his presentation, Miss Ryan's grade 4 class had the opportunity to try on all the special equipment that firefighters wear. At Coakley's Positive Sign Thursday, students learned that if you fall, get back up and keep going. And the CMS Drama Club performed an excellent production called The Phantom Toll Booth. Students worked hard during rehearsals and the show was a big hit. There's a lot of talented drama students headed to the high school. At the Cleveland School, the Student Council had a successful collection for the Toys for Tots. Thank you to all who helped out and made donations. The students also enjoyed designing cards and sending messages to our troops stationed overseas. And at Norwood High School, the students of the month for November are Gia Rodriguez and Sean Pugach. Congratulations on being recognized for this honor. Well, that's it for school news. To learn more, check the website, Facebook, and watch Norwood Community Media. Now let's go to Brian Dunn with the latest sports news.
Thanks, Tim. The winter season got started last weekend with wrestling matches and boys and girls track meets. The boys lost to Holliston 44-42. First place finishers came in the 4x4 relay and the 1,000-meter race by Paul Force. The girls lost 60-25, and Sodom McLeod placed first in the 55-meter race. Wrestling starts off their season 3-0 with wins over Taunton, Watertown, and Carver-Wareham in a quad meet last weekend. Swim and dive lost to Wayland on Monday, and boys and girls hockey starts their seasons on Saturday, December 15th. The boys will play Westwood and the girls will play Dover Sherborne. That's all for sports. Now back to the desk.
Welcome back to Norwood News. Last weekend, Norwood celebrated the arts in 2 different locations around town. First, Friday, Custom Art Framing and Gallery 9 held their monthly art show at their store on Central Street. Many were in attendance to see art by the featured artist of the month, Kim Weineck. Kim is a local artist from Norwood, and she is also very involved in the Friends of Norwood Center and the Norwood Farmers Market.
I'm Julie Vecchio with Custom Art Framing and Gallery 9 here on Central Street. We started doing these first Fridays in 2003, the same year we opened, just a way to get the community out and have fun on a Friday night, enjoy some local art, and meet each other, enjoy other art collectors and meet artists and just be a part of the community.
I'm Kim Weineck, and I am the artist for December at Custom Art Framing Gallery 9. And I have had solo shows here now for around 10 years. And they're usually in the fall. So this one opened today, December 7th, and it'll be on display throughout the rest of the month. We have a bunch of different artwork, but this one is a bunch of panoramic work inspired by my local area. And I do a lot of panorama because I love slices of things. I love color, and I like making things enhanced about the things that I like about what I see. So I hope you stop by.
The Norwood Space Center held their first body of work gallery opening on Saturday night. With over 200 people in attendance, over 15 artists that are located in the Space Center showcased their work. Norwood News reporter Tim Rose was at the event and talked with some of the local artists. Well, that's all for Norwood News. To stay up to date with Norwood Community Media, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.